Welcome to Comix Culture. I'm Maya.
And I'm Jack.
When it comes to Marvel anti-heroes, nobody goes darker than the Punisher. But which moments prove just how brutal Frank Castle really is? If you've ever wondered what happens when you wage a one-man war on crime, trust us, you've never seen anything like this.
Today, we're counting down the 10 most brutal Punisher moments ever printed in comics. Buckle up, because Frank Castle doesn't pull punches, and neither do we.
Let's kick it off with where it all began. The Punisher's first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man number 129. Even in his debut, Frank Castle makes it clear, he's not your average vigilante. He's introduced as a stone-cold assassin with a personal vendetta, and the minute he steps onto the page, you know someone's about to have a very bad day.
When your first panel involves trying to gun down Spider-Man, you set the tone. Forget webheads and colorful quips. Frank is all business. Firearms, explosives, and zero patience for friendly neighborhood banter. Instant icon status, mostly for terrifying everyone in a 10-block radius.
Next up, talk about making a statement. In the Welcome Back Frank arc, Frank literally feeds a mob boss to polar bears. You read that right? After outsmarting his enemies, he tosses the villain, alive and screaming, into the zoo's bear enclosure. It's shocking, it's cold-blooded, and honestly, it's unforgettable.
Is it brutal? Absolutely. Is it also just a little creative? Also yes. Forget cement shoes. Frank invents polar bear justice. The mob never saw wildlife coming.
Moving on, few moments stick with readers like the infamous steamroller scene from Punisher War Journal. Frank captures a trio of villains, ties them to the street, and flattens them, one by one, under an actual steamroller. Zero hesitation, zero remorse. It's cartoonish and horrific all at once.
He doesn't just kill them, he makes it an event. Somewhere out there, a city worker had to wonder who requisitioned a steamroller for special operations. Frank Castle, the only guy who'd turn a construction site into a crime scene.
And then, there's the classic Kingpin beatdown. Frank finally gets his hands on Wilson Fisk and goes to town, showing zero restraint. He beats Kingpin within an inch of his life, not out of necessity, but out of pure, unfiltered rage. Fisk built his empire through violence. Frank shows him what true violence is all about.
The Kingpin usually terrifies even other supervillains, but put him in a room alone with Frank, and he suddenly looks very squishy. Who needs high-tech gadgets when you have Knuckles and a grudge the size of Manhattan?
Speaking of unexpected beatdowns, let's talk about the time the Punisher took on Wolverine. And won. Frank shoots Logan point blank in the face, runs him over with a steamroller, again, and drops him down an elevator shaft for good measure. Sure, Wolverine can heal, but the creativity and cruelty of Frank's attack is brutal even by Marvel standards.
Pretty sure Frank is the only person to ever leave Wolverine feeling genuinely annoyed. Healing factor or not, there's no coming back from the emotional trauma of being pancaked by the Punisher. Twice. That's a therapy session waiting to happen.
Quick pause to shout out T1337, our sponsor today. If you love comics or gaming, you'll want to check their stuff out.
Yeah, if the Punisher ever swapped out his flak vest for a casual hoodie, it'd probably have T1337 on it. These guys have shirts, gaming apparel, stickers, everything you need to show off your fandom without resorting to actual vigilantism.
Back to the mayhem. If you thought Frank couldn't get darker, the Punisher Max series proved otherwise. Here, he ditches the costume for tactical gear and deals with organized crime in shockingly realistic military-style executions. We're talking point-blank justice, no web-slingers to lighten the mood.
Let's be honest, if Jason Bourne ever needed tips in brutality, he'd be paging Frank. Some of these scenes aren't just comic book violence, they're a crash course in urban warfare. And Frank passes with flying bullets.
Now, who remembers the time Frank blew Marnucci sky high with dynamite? After a savage fight with her and her mob goons, plus a run-in with her as a limbless, rage-fueled matriarch, Frank finishes it all with a literal bang. The scene became legendary overnight.
Marnucci's resume, mob boss, bear attack survivor, and ultimately Punisher's human firework display. Honestly, Frank could open a fireworks shop with all the times he's used dynamite as a finishing move. Subtlety is for other Marvel heroes. Audience question for you all. Which Punisher moment do you think is the most brutal? Did we miss your favorite? Drop it in the comments, and we might feature your pick in our next episode.
And we're not done yet. Let's talk about Frank's truly wild Frankencastle phase. After being literally dismembered by Daken, Frank gets rebuilt Frankenstein style by the Legion of Monsters. Instead of slowing down, he launches right back into vigilante mode. Stitched together, half monster, still all Punisher.
If anyone was going to invent a super-powered zombie soldier, it had to be Frank. Only he could be murdered, resurrected, and immediately returned to hunting mobsters. Frankencastle, a monster movie nobody else could have pulled off.
Number 9 is an absolute show stealer. Frank fights Stiltman, but instead of just taking him out, he murders him, and then mocks his funeral. In typical Frank fashion, he spikes the drinks at Stiltman's wake, sending a not-so-subtle message to every criminal who showed up. Never let it be said Frank can't multitask.
If the Afterlife had Yelp reviews, every Marvel villain would rate Stiltman's funeral 1 star. Would not recommend. Drinks were lethal. Truly, only the Punisher could weaponize a eulogy.
Rounding out our list, the Civil War saga, where every hero's deciding which side to pick. But Frank doesn't hesitate. If you've got a criminal record, you're fair game. He guns down 2 rogue villains without blinking, shocking even hardened heroes like Captain America. For once, the other anti-heroes look at Frank and go, "That's a little much."
Honest question. On the Civil War alignment chart, is there a spot for shoot first, ask questions never? Because that's just another Tuesday for Frank Castle. Even Cap can't convince him to tone it down.
Thanks for sticking with us through 10 rounds of Punisher brutality. Not for the faint of heart, but that's why we love Frank Castle.
And if your craving for carnage isn't satisfied yet, tune in next time when we talk about Batman outsmarting the Justice League. Trust us, it's a wild ride.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Check out our other videos on Comix Culture.
Until next time, cheers.
Bye-bye.